Living past the age of 61 can truly be seen as a precious gift. This is a time in life when we can look back with reflection and wisdom, clearly seeing what we need to let go of to live a lighter life. We have spent many years accumulating anxiety, responsibilities, and even material possessions, hoping that they would bring happiness. However, over time, we realize that happiness does not lie in what we own, but in the peace of our souls. Like a practitioner on the path of Buddhist teachings, we gradually recognize that letting go of burdens is not only about releasing material things but also about releasing expectations, comparisons, and unnecessary fears. The more we grow, the more we understand that life should not be filled with unnecessary suffering or pressure. It is time for us to turn inward, exploring the true values that bring tranquility and joy to our souls. According to the teachings of the Buddha, people are often swept away by the whirlpool of desires and ignorance, crossing the threshold of age 61. This is a moment when we can see more clearly the impermanent nature of life. Only through letting go can we truly feel liberation, lightness, and freedom in every step we take. Today, we will explore together the 9 unreasonable things that you no longer need to carry after turning 61. Let these things fade away so that you can live with true peace and happiness, connecting more deeply with the true values of life. The first thing to let go of after 61 is excessive concern about the opinions of others. When we were younger, we might have spent a lot of time trying to please those around us, seeking acceptance, belonging, and even praise. But after 61, a time when we have experienced enough ups and downs in life, we gradually realize that the burden of always living up to others' expectations is not only a waste of energy but also hinders us from achieving inner peace. Buddhism teaches that each of us has our own karma, and this karma cannot be changed simply because of someone else's desires. As the Buddha once said, "You must light your own lamp." The concept of liberation does not come from following the opinions of the world but from mindfulness and genuine understanding of ourselves. After 61, it is time for us to let go of the worry about what others think. We no longer need approval from those around us because true happiness does not lie in whether someone agrees or disagrees with how we live. It lies in the serenity of living according to what we believe and feel. Living true to ourselves is a genuine liberation, as each day we know we are acting according to our own values, not for the gaze of others. They say, the opinions of the world are limitless. The opinions of others may still exist, but what matters is that they no longer have the power to control us. We realize that life is short, and this time should be spent focusing on what truly matters, such as compassion, patience, and mindfulness, rather than clinging to worries about the judgments of the world. When we truly understand that only we know what brings us joy, that is when we reach spiritual freedom. Like a meditator in the deep forest, who does not need to concern themselves with the voices around them, but only needs to focus on their breath. We too no longer need to worry about misunderstandings or criticisms from the outside. This is one of the most valuable gifts of aging: freedom from fear, guilt, and the constraints of others' opinions. Ultimately, in Buddhism, letting go is not just about abandoning material things, but also about relinquishing unnecessary thoughts. Letting go of excessive concern for external matters is a way for us to regain inner peace, enabling us to live a more peaceful, serene, and free life. The second thing is the accumulation of possessions and material goods. After the age of 61, we begin to deeply understand that accumulating material goods is not the path to happiness. How many times have we kept items we no longer use, yet they still occupy space in our homes and in our minds? Each item seems to carry a small piece of the past, with memories and emotions attached, making it difficult to let go. But as the Buddha taught, all things are impermanent. What was once important may no longer be relevant. And the most valuable thing we can do for ourselves is to practice letting go. Letting go is not just a physical act, it is also a spiritual one. It helps us clear our space, not only in our homes but also in our souls. When we are no longer bound by material possessions, we start to see more clearly what truly matters. This involves not only eliminating unnecessary items but also practicing compassion towards ourselves as we choose to live simply and know sufficiency. Entering this stage of life, we realize that less is truly more. Minimalism is not a lack of abundance but a more refined, deeper way of living, where we focus on experiences, authentic moments, and precious relationships. The Buddha emphasized that true wealth does not come from what we accumulate but from understanding and mindfulness in every present moment. Looking back at what we have accumulated, we can ask ourselves, does this still bring joy? Does it still hold meaning in my life? If the answer is no, then perhaps it is time to let go. In doing so, we will feel lighter, not just materially but also spiritually. We will worry less about what needs care and cleaning and focus on what truly matters, simple joys and loving moments. Letting go of material wealth is also a way to train the mind, preventing us from being swept away by desires and ownership. As the Buddha taught, liberation from suffering comes from letting go, from the tranquility that arises when we no longer cling to what no longer serves us. This is the path to true freedom, where we can walk more lightly, joyfully, and contentedly in every moment of life. The third thing is the need to fulfill unnecessary social obligations. After 61, we begin to realize that unnecessary social obligations are burdens we can gently let go of. For much of our lives, we may have felt pressured to accept invitations, participate in events, and immerse ourselves in situations that do not bring joy. We do this out of politeness, habit, or simply because we think it is the right thing to do. How many times have we reluctantly attended a social gathering simply because we feared that refusing would be rude? Or accepted an invitation knowing full well that we wouldn't feel comfortable? At this stage in life, as the Buddha's teachings suggest, we can look back and ask ourselves, what is truly valuable? It is time for us to understand that life is impermanent. Time is short and precious, and we no longer need to participate in anything just out of obligation. The time after 61 is an opportunity for us to allow ourselves to say no, saying no to things that drain our energy, to things that are merely formalities and do not bring joy or peace. This is not selfishness but compassion for oneself. The Buddha taught that compassion is not only for others but must also be applied to ourselves. When we say no to what no longer serves us, we are saying yes to genuine tranquility and happiness. This does not mean we refuse everything or isolate ourselves from society. On the contrary, it means we choose wisely, selecting the places where our hearts feel at peace, where our presence is valued and meaningful. The privilege of being over 61 is the freedom to choose. We no longer need to be present everywhere, we do not need to justify our absences. We do not need to sacrifice personal happiness to please others. It is the freedom to choose relationships and situations that truly bring joy, peace, and authentic connection. Whenever we spend time somewhere, let both body and soul be truly present, not bound by obligation, but by love and conscious choice. This is the greatest gift we can give ourselves after many years of living and learning from life. Presence is not just being physically there, but also being mentally and emotionally present, free from the burdens of meaningless pressures. And just as on the path to enlightenment that the Buddha taught, Life becomes lighter and more meaningful when we choose mindfully, allowing each moment to be a true connection with ourselves and with those we love. Letting go of unnecessary social obligations is the first step on the path to spiritual freedom. We live authentically, no longer bound by the expectations of others. Let us cherish this, for it will bring profound peace and joy to the years ahead in life. The fourth thing is the excessive obsession with appearance, a challenge that many people face throughout their lives. Society continually imposes standards of beauty and youth, making us feel that we must always be perfect, always fighting against aging, as if having wrinkles or signs of time is unacceptable. We become caught up in an endless race to hold on to youth. But in the stage after 61, it is time for us to realize that true beauty does not lie in outward appearances but in the naturalness and the stories that each wrinkle and mark conveys. It is time for us to no longer hide or feel ashamed of what time has left on our faces. Each mark on our bodies is a part of life, a testament to the experiences and ups and downs we have gone through. As in Buddhist teachings, this body is merely a temporary vessel. And more importantly, true beauty comes from within, from a pure soul and a compassionate heart. The Buddha teaches that everything is impermanent, even this body. And accepting change is a way to live in harmony with the natural nature of life. Taking care of our health and keeping our bodies active and youthful is good. But we should not let this become a burden that makes us anxious about fitting into standards that do not truly reflect who we are. Self-acceptance, with all the changes in our bodies, is an expression of compassion towards ourselves, a form of wisdom that Buddhism always reminds us of. Instead of trying to mold ourselves into a perfect image according to others' standards, let us learn to love and respect our bodies with their marks of time. This is how we find peace and happiness. Each wrinkle is not merely a sign of age but a testament to smiles, moments of living fully. True beauty is when we dare to live authentically, no longer feeling the need to prove anything to anyone. It is when we live true to ourselves, unafraid, unashamed, and free from guilt. True beauty lies in acceptance, in inner peace. And this is one of the greatest gifts that age 61 can bring us. The fifth thing is engaging in activities that do not bring satisfaction. Throughout our lives, how many times have we found ourselves stuck in jobs or habits that seem to be mere obligations? Or simply because we think they must be done? These things, although familiar, sometimes no longer hold meaning or joy for us. Like being on autopilot, we repeat actions that do not bring positivity or happiness. However, upon reaching age 61, we have the opportunity to stop, look at these activities from a fresh perspective, and ask ourselves, does this still make me happy? Does it bring me any satisfaction? If the answer is no, then this is the time to reconsider and let go of what no longer brings us fulfillment. Life is too short to waste time on activities that do not bring joy or warmth to our hearts. Buddhism reminds us that everything is impermanent, and this includes our habits and activities. What once held meaning may no longer be relevant. Clinging to things that no longer have value only weighs us down and causes us to miss out on enjoying the present life. This is a wonderful time to let go, to rediscover joy in the small and genuine things, and to seek new passions and interests that we may have overlooked for years. Letting go does not mean failure, it opens up space for what is truly important. It may mean giving up a habit, stopping going to places that no longer excite us, or even learning something new, rediscovering old talents, or simply spending more time with loved ones. In Buddhism, living mindfully, being present, is essential to finding true peace and happiness. When we live each moment with purpose, will, and joy. That is true fulfillment. And there is no better time to start this than now. We no longer need to waste time on things that do not benefit us. Let's find what makes us wake up each day with joy, with enthusiasm, and live a life full of enjoyment. For that is what truly matters. The sixth thing is toxic and negative relationships. How many times have we been in relationships where hurt and negativity became the norm? Sometimes we become so familiar with those around us that we no longer realize they are draining our energy and peace. We may spend years maintaining these relationships, living with people who, instead of adding vitality, only bring more stress and exhaustion to our lives. It could be a friend who always brings negativity, a family member who only knows how to criticize, or anyone who makes us feel bad and disrespected. After the age of 61, it's time for us to reevaluate these relationships. These are not obligations but burdens we no longer need to carry. Instead of maintaining these relationships out of habit or fear, we need to carefully choose those who will accompany us on this journey. Avoiding toxic relationships is not selfish, it's a way to take care of ourselves and protect the peace within our souls. Buddhism teaches that inner peace is priceless. And to achieve it, we must know how to eliminate obstacles. Life is too short to spend time with people who only bring negativity and criticism. Instead, surround yourself with good friends. Those who truly care about us. Those who offer unconditional support and acceptance. It's essential to maintain inner peace and uphold our own values. When we allow ourselves to let go of relationships that no longer hold meaning, we open up space for new people to enter our lives. Those who genuinely bring joy and inspiration. Life is too short to waste on relationships that no longer bring goodness. Seek out and cherish positive relationships. Those who stand by us with genuine affection and respect. In the end, we can leave behind the rest of those toxic relationships without feeling guilt or regret. For we are taking care of ourselves. Live fully with those who bring value and joy to life because that is what truly deserves our time and attention. The seventh thing is comparing oneself to others. One of the most common traps we fall into throughout life is the temptation to compare our path to others. From a young age, we've faced expectations and standards of success, making many of us question our own choices and achievements. We look around and see that there is always someone who has done more, has more, or lives in a way we think is better. However, over time, we realize that these comparisons only waste our precious time and energy. Everyone has their own path, their own battles, joys, and sorrows. After 61, we have lived long enough to understand that there is no single right way to live. Constantly comparing ourselves to others only pulls us away from our own values, our achievements, and makes us forget everything we've overcome, everything we've accomplished. Happiness and success do not follow a set formula. What works for one person may not work for another. Each of us is unique, with our own needs, desires, and limits. It is this uniqueness that we should celebrate, not trying to fit into a mold that doesn't belong to us. Each person's life is shaped by their choices, and every choice leads to a different place. Comparing ourselves to others is to forget that every choice has its own value, every path its own beauty. Now is the time to let go of the habit of evaluating ourselves by looking at others. Instead, stop looking elsewhere and start looking within. With more affection. With more respect for everything we've lived through and built. Each of us has our own story, our own journey, and it is just as valuable and beautiful as any other. We no longer need to compare ourselves to others. What we need is to recognize and appreciate our own trajectory. Our unique way of living with all its imperfections, with all its challenges, and with all its achievements. When we stop comparing ourselves to others, we begin to see the true richness of our own lives in their unique way. And in this uniqueness, we find true peace and happiness. The eighth thing is unachievable or irrelevant goals. Throughout the years, we've learned how to set goals and pursue dreams and desires. But often, those dreams weren't truly ours. They may have been expectations from society, from our family, or even from ourselves as we were still searching for direction. Over time, we realize that not all goals are necessary. Some of them have actually become burdens. These are things we continue to chase simply out of habit, even though they no longer hold meaning. Now, after 61 years, it's time to look at these goals and decide what is truly worthwhile. We no longer have a reason to continue pursuing something that doesn't bring fulfillment. If there are goals that are clearly unachievable or no longer as meaningful as they once were, letting go is not an act of giving up but a wise choice about where we want to invest our energy, time, and heart. Chasing after goals that no longer hold value only brings us disappointment, making us feel like we've failed. In reality, wisdom lies in recognizing when it's time to change and adjusting our expectations to align with the reality of who we are and what we truly want. What's important now is setting goals that genuinely bring happiness and satisfaction. These goals should resonate with our current values and desires, making our hearts beat faster with excitement. It could be something simple, like spending more time with family, learning something new, or simply taking better care of ourselves. The key is that these goals must be meaningful and realistic. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what we achieve but how we live, how we enjoy each moment, and live in peace and harmony with our choices. That, ultimately, is the greatest goal we can have. When we live this way, we not only find joy but also fulfillment in our actions. The final thing is taking responsibility for prioritizing your own happiness. How many times have we put the needs of others above our own? Throughout life, we've learned to care for, support, and be there for the people we love. That's beautiful. A gesture of boundless love. But in the process, we often forget about ourselves, pushing aside our own dreams and desires to meet the expectations of others. As a result, we accumulate a kind of guilt whenever we think about doing something for ourselves, as if we don't have the right to do so. After the age of 61, it's time to leave that guilt behind and allow ourselves to prioritize our own happiness. Happiness is not selfish, it's an act of self-care. Respecting everything you've done and everything you are. We've spent so much time and energy on others, we've been so much to so many people. Now is the time to look inward and ask ourselves, what makes me happy? What do I truly want for myself? Don't be afraid to seem selfish. And don't worry about disappointing others. We can't give others what we don't have. To take good care of those we love, we need to be healthy, happy, and fulfilled. This only happens when we have the courage to put ourselves first. Sometimes, letting go of the guilt allows us to live lighter. There is nothing wrong with wanting happiness, with doing good things for ourselves. Because this life is ours. No one can live it for us. Nor can anyone replace the compassion we owe ourselves. If we don't take care of our own happiness, what will we do? It's necessary to think about ourselves without feeling guilty or afraid. This doesn't mean we stop caring for others, but rather that we seek a healthy balance between taking care of those we love and caring for ourselves. This is an act of self-love, honoring our own dreams, If there's something you've always wanted to do but never had the courage for, now is the time. If you have a wish, a plan, or an idea still lying dormant, bring it to the surface without guilt, without fear. Because true happiness is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. When we feel good, it reflects on everything around us. Let go of guilt and live lighter, happier, and more sincerely. This is the life we deserve more than ever. Life after 61 brings us a unique opportunity to live more authentically, leaving behind everything that no longer serves us and focusing on what truly matters. We no longer need to worry so much about the opinions of others, accumulating meaningless material wealth, or participating in unnecessary social obligations. As Buddha taught, life is impermanent, reminding us that everything will pass, so why not live each moment to the fullest? We also no longer need to be overly concerned with our appearance or insist on participating in activities that don't bring satisfaction. Maintaining toxic relationships only drains our energy, and comparing our lives to others is a waste of precious time. Pursuing unachievable or irrelevant goals only distances us further from happiness. Above all, we shouldn't feel guilty for prioritizing our own happiness. As Buddha taught, let go of what is unnecessary, because when we release what no longer has meaning, we create space for growth and happiness. By letting go of these things, we can live more lightly and with fuller awareness. This is the moment of liberation, of rediscovery, and of reuniting with what truly holds meaning for us. Life is a journey of choosing what is good for ourselves, choosing happiness, and choosing to live more authentically. Just like in a Buddhist story, the path to enlightenment only comes when we abandon our attachments and find ourselves. So, are you ready to make these choices for yourself? Let's explore the wonderful things in your life and honor your unique journey. If you find these ideas meaningful and want to continue this journey with us, please hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel so you won't miss any content that helps you live a more authentic and happier life. Leave your questions below the video, and we'll discuss them together.